Miss Potosa told us a little about who she was. It was boring stuff about where she originally came from and how she always wanted to teach, and she left her job on Wall Street about 6 years ago to pursue her dream and teach kids. She ended by asking if anyone had any questions, and Julian raised his hand. Yes? She had to look at the list to remember his name. Julian? That's cool how you're pursuing your dream, he said. Thank you. You're welcome, he said proudly. Okay, so why don't you tell us a little about yourself, Julian? Actually, here's what I want everyone to do. Think of two things you want other people to know about you. Actually, wait a minute. How many of you came from Beecher Lower School? About half the kids raised their hand. Okay, so a few of you already know each other, but the rest of you, I guess, are new to the school, right? Okay, so everyone think of two things you want other people to know about you. And if you know some of the other kids, try to think of things they don't already know about you, okay? Okay, so let's start with Julian and we'll go around the room. Julian scrunched up his face and started tapping his forehead like he was thinking really hard. Okay, whenever you're ready, Miss Potoso called out. Okay, so number one is that do me a favor and start with your names, okay? Miss Potosa interrupted. It'll help me remember everyone. Oh, okay. So my name is Julian, and the number one thing I'd like to tell everyone about myself is that I just got Battleground Mystic for my Wii, and it's totally awesome. And the number two thing is we got a ping pong table this summer. Very nice. I love ping pong, said Miss Potosa. Does anyone have any questions for Julian? Is Battleground Mystic multiplayer or one player? Said the kid named Miles. Not those kinds of questions, guys, said Miss Potosa. Okay, so how about you? She pointed to Charlotte, probably because her desk was closest to the front. Oh, sure. Charlotte didn't hesitate for even a second, like she knew exactly what she wanted to say. My name is Charlotte. I have two sisters, and we just got a new puppy named Suki in July. We got her from an animal shelter, and she's so cute. That's great, Charlotte. Thank you, said Miss Potosa. Okay, then who's next? Like a lamb to the slaughter. Something that you say when someone who goes somewhere calmly, not knowing that something unpleasant is going to happen to them. I Googled it last night. That's what I was thinking when Miss Potosa called my name, and suddenly it was my turn to talk. My name is August, I said. And yeah, I kind of mumbled it. What? Said someone. Can you speak up, honey? Said Miss Potosa. My name is August, I said louder, forcing myself to look up. I have a sister named Via and a dog named Daisy, and that's it. Wonderful! Anyone have any questions for August? No one said anything. Okay, you're next, said Miss Potosa to Jack. Wait, I have a question for August, said Julian, raising his hand. Why do you have that tiny braid in the back of your hair? Is that like a Padawan thing? Yeah, I shrugged, nodded. What's a Padawan thing? Said Miss Potosa, smiling at me. It's from Star Wars, answered Julian. A Padawan is a Jedi apprentice. Oh, interesting, answered Miss Potosa, looking at me. So, are you into Star Wars, August? I guess. I nodded, not looking up, because I really wanted was just to slide under my desk. Who's your favorite character? Julian asked. I started thinking. He wasn't so bad. Jango Fett. What about Darth Sidious? He said. Do you like him? Okay, guys, you can talk about Star Wars stuff at recess, said Miss Potoso cheerfully. But let's keep going. We haven't heard from you yet, she said to Jack. Now it was Jack's turn to talk. But I admit I didn't hear a word he said. Maybe no one got the Darth Sidious thing. Maybe Julian didn't mean anything at all. But in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Darth Sidious's face gets burned by Sith lightning and becomes totally deformed. His skin gets all shriveled up and his whole face just kind of melts. I peeked at Julian and he was looking at me. Yeah, He knew what he was saying. There was a lot of shuffling around when the bell rang and everyone got up to leave. I checked my schedule and it said my next class was English, room 321. I didn't stop to see if anyone else from my homeroom was going my way. I just zoomed out of the class and down the hall and sat down as far from the front as possible. The teacher, a really tall man with a yellow beard, was writing on the chalkboard. Kids came in laughing and talking in little groups, but I didn't look up. Basically, the same thing that happened at homeroom happened again. No one sat next to me except for Jack, who was joking around with some kids who weren't in our homeroom. I could tell Jack was the kind of kid other kids liked. He had a lot of friends. He made people laugh. When the second bell rang, everyone got quiet, and the teacher turned around and faced us. He said his name was Mr. Brown, and then he started talking about what he would do during this semester. At a certain point, somewhere between A Wrinkle in Time and Shen of the Sea, he noticed me, but kept on talking. I was mostly drooling in my notebook while he talked, but every once in a while I would sneak a look at other students. Charlotte was in this class, so were Julian and Henry. Miles wasn't. Mr. Brown had written on the chalkboard in big block letters, Precept. Okay, everyone, write this at the very top of your first page in your English notebook. As we did what he told us to do, he said, okay, so who can tell me what a precept is? Does anybody know? No one raised their hands. Mr. Brown smiled, nodded, and turned to write on the chalkboard again. Precepts equals rules about really important things. Like a motto? Someone called out. Like a motto, said Mr. Brown, nodding as he continued writing on the board. Like a famous quote, like a line from a fortune cookie, any saying or ground rule that can motivate you. Basically, a precept is anything that helps guide us when making decisions about really important things. He wrote all that on the chalkboard and then turned around and faced us. So, what are some really important things? He asked us. A few kids raised their hands, and as he pointed at them, he gave their answers, which he wrote on the chalkboard in really, really sloppy handwriting. Rules, schoolwork, homework, what else? He said as he wrote, not even turning around. Just call things out. He wrote everything everyone called out. Family, parents, pets. One girl called out, the environment. The environment, he wrote on the chalkboard and added, our world. Sharks because they eat things. Eat dead things in the ocean, said one of the boys, a kid named Reed. And Mr. Brown wrote down, sharks. Bees, seatbelts, recycling, friends. Okay, said Mr. Brown. Writing all these things down, he turned around when he finished writing to face us again. But no one's named the most important thing of all. We all looked at him, out of ideas. God? Said one kid. I could tell that, even though Mr. Brown wrote God down, that wasn't the answer he was looking for. Without saying anything else, he wrote down, who we are. Who we are, he said, underlining each word as he said it. Who we are, us, right? What kind of people are we? What kind of person are you? Isn't that the most important thing of all? Isn't that the kind of question we should be asking ourselves all the time? What kind of person am I? Does anyone happen to notice the plaque next to the door of this school? Anyone read what it says? Anyone? He looked around, but no one knew the answer. It says, know thyself, he said, smiling and nodding. And learning who you are is what we're here to do. I thought we were here to learn English, Jack cracked, which made everyone laugh. Oh, yeah, and that too. Mr. Brown answered, which I thought was very cool of him. He turned around and wrote in big, huge block letters that spread all the way across the chalkboard. Mr. Brown's September precept. When given the choice between being right or being kind, choose kind. Okay, so everybody, he said, facing us again, I want you to start a brand new section in your notebook and call it Mr. Brown's precepts. He kept talking as we did what he was telling us to do. Put today's date at the top of the first page, and from now on, at the beginning of every month, I'm going to write a new Mr. Brown precept on the chalkboard, and you're going to write it down in your notebook. Then we're going to discuss that precept and what it means. And at the end of the month, you're going to write an essay about it, about what it means to you. So by the end of the year, you'll have your own list of precepts to take away with you. Over the summer, I ask all my students to come up with their very own personal precept, write it on a postcard, and mail it to me from wherever you go on your summer vacation. People really do that? Said one girl whose name I didn't know. Oh yeah, he answered. People really do that. I've had students send me precepts years after they graduated from the school. Actually, it's pretty amazing. He paused and stroked his beard. But anyway, next summer seems like a long way off, I know. He joked, which made us laugh. So everybody relax a bit while I take attendance. And then we're finished. With that, I'll start telling you about all the fun stuff we're going to be having this year in English. He pointed to Jack when he said this, which was also funny. So we all laughed at that. As I wrote down Mr. Brown's September precept, I suddenly realized that I was going to like school, no matter what.